Hello once again. Good afternoon. Welcome into The Drive. It's The Drive at 5. Great to have you with us here on Maine Sports Leader 92.9 The Ticket. Jim Churchill along with Mark Paulette coming off the 2026 Ticket Awards last night. A lot of work going into it. Great hosts and heroes. Great sponsors. Also want to thank our platinum sponsors for the Ticket Awards, Greenway Equipment Sales and Varney Auto Group, along with our diamond sponsors, Eastern Maine Community College, local McDonald's and Brewer in Bangor, Marty Ekman, the local owner, and Next Home Experience, of course, John Coda and company there. All right, big news of the day, NBA trade, a blockbuster, Giannis and
Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis.
On their way to Miami.
I
keep forgetting about Bobby Portis.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a throw into this.
Yeah, okay. Headband guy.
Yep. They are going to Miami. Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., the name I've been avoiding all day by saying 4 players going back to the Bucks. Kasparis Giannis.
Yeah.
Probably not that close.
Giannis.
3 first-round picks, including the number 13 tonight, plus 1 pick swap. So Miami gets those 4 players, 3 of which, Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez are like plug-and-play, if not starters. Jaquez is your 6th man and very good in that role, a 6th man of the year candidate. And they have the 10th and 13 picks tonight to try to jumpstart whatever they do post Giannis. So that's not a bad.
That's not a bad.
That really is not a bad spot to start from. And even the 4th player there out of Illinois, whose name I'm going to avoid again, he's got like the body, the tools, kind of that European guard mold that you can make something out of.
So the Red Sox, the Celtics finished 2nd in the Giannis sweepstakes. They were willing to offer Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks, but they come up short. And now their superstar knows that the Celtics are more than willing to deal him, so he gone.
Yeah, that's what everyone's trying to tell us.
He's gone.
It's going to be an open bidding war here for Jaylen Brown.
Again.
The thing, again, Jaylen Brown, a very proud person, seems to be a little sensitive as well, as we're learning from his continued streaming. And I would think that would turn you off as someone who hates social media as much as you do. The guy is like openly reaching out to the world's
on
most
social media. So I'm not seeing this stuff.
No,
I hear about it,
but he is so consumed by it now.
Yeah,
that should be a little worrisome.
No, I'm not in favor of that. But what I go by what I see on the court, and if I see a guy who gets better every year, and he's going to get better next year, and he's going to be motivated wherever he's playing. It's not going to be Boston.
He will be, but if it's Boston, like there's no reason for him to be offended by being dangled out there again, because the 2 times that he's actually been dangled out there, that we know that Jaylen Brown was actually offered by the Celtics to another team. It was for Kevin Durant like 4 years ago when KD was the much better player than Jaylen Brown at the time. And it was for Giannis, who's a 2-time MVP and today is still a better player than him. So for as proud of an individual as he is, not honored, but he should understand it. If he truly has self-awareness, which I'm not sure he does based on these Twitch streams and kind of what he's been saying after the year, but he should look at that and say, okay, the Celtics aren't trying to trade me for a dryer machine, a washing machine and a bag of balls like the old days. They're dangling me out there for some of the best players on the planet. Yeah. So if you can't come back from that, then that is more Jaylen Brown to me than the Celtics ruining that relationship.
He's gone. So we'll see where. I know they were just showing highlights of the guard from New Orleans on the screen.
Trey Murphy?
Yeah. They were just
more of a forward. Yeah. 6'7", 6'8" body. He would fit in very nicely with the Celtics. He could play off Tatum. It's like I was saying last hour, it's probably Jaylen Brown light. It's the closest thing you're going to get back for him at this point, with it not being Giannis in the deal. DeJounte Murray is in New Orleans. So if you go Jaylen Brown.
It looks like the Celtics are going the route of the Thunder,
the Spurs,
even though they're not as good. Not the Spurs.
Trying to build. Well, if they flip
Spurs
him,
have 3 legitimate. Like, even though they're young, I understand they need to develop more, but they have.
That's the route I want them to go. Now,
but they don't have the studs. They're giving a stud up.
No,
they don't want studs.
I want to retool how the team is shaped, where you have Tatum and you have your star down low, but then you have some bully ball minded guards, like some super physical guards. And Jaylen Brown is more of a forward than he is that, because his game is about driving to the basketball and predicated on physicality. So if
he's gone,
if you turn him into Trey Murphy III and DeJounte Murray, which I don't think New Orleans would want to do because that's given up a lot in return, I could get on board with that. I can't get on board with anything else I've seen out there as far as the mocks for Jaylen Brown trades just to trade Jaylen Brown.
Well, so I think he will be traded. It has to be traded at this point, and they're going to be getting a group of players. Like, it's not going to be, there's no other Giannis out there that's available as a big, because again, this was the big thing. This was what Brad Stevens talked about at the end of the year, is we got to be better in the paint, and we got to get bigger, get stronger. There's nobody out there that you can do a 1-for-1 with.
You could look at Houston and go for Alperin, I think is his full name, but Al Senguin, or however you say his last name down there, who's like a triple-double potential center, because he's that kind of guy that he plays down low but with his back to the basketball, and he can facilitate from down there, but still it's not a 1-for-1 that you would feel good about getting in return for the guy that just finished sixth in the MVP vote and was a second-team All-NBA player. He was just ranked as the sixth best player out of this past season. Right. You're selling at an all-time high, so you better be getting back a damn good package with it.
So what I'm guessing is they're going to have to trade him for potential, like a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And that means a step back to me. And you're going to go with, so it's Shea in Oklahoma City. It's, who was the other team we were talking about the other day? Anyway, but you're going to go with that model where, I mean,
it gives you a little more breathing
kind of like
room.
The Knicks, that's
depth. That's what they did. Yeah. And even with the Knicks, remember, it's inverted because Cat is their big money guy at 53, and Brunson left all of it on the table, and he's making 38 or whatever to make that possible. Yeah. So you kind of have to do it based off where the NBA is going. I mean, the new CBA,
JT's team.
The new CBA has made it so that you really only have one true superstar. The Spurs are going to have to go through the same thing when they decide who to give their money to, because De'Aaron Fox is an albatross on their books right now. OKC is going through it because they have Hartenstein making $38 million or high 30s, but Holmgren is about to kick up into that stratosphere. Williams is about to get up into that stratosphere. So other teams who maybe were a little later to the party than the Celtics are still having to deal with this, just not as upfront as Boston did, where it's set up now in the NBA. You win a championship, and then you have like 2 or 3 years to maximize it before it all falls apart and unravels because of the CBA, and the Celtics are in that unraveling window.
Unraveling. All right, we're going to take a time out here. We'll have the Sip of the Rose coming up later on in the show, but next we've got Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston. Also coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll have the drive poll. We're going to do some Sox props as well. Hey, football is coming this fall. It's time to pack the stands at Alphonse Stadium and cheer on UMaine football. Don't miss the excitement, the tradition, and the Black Bear pride all season long. Season tickets on sale now, and they give you the best value and the best seats for every home game. Visit goblackbears.com/tickets today and secure your tickets. The drive is brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for over 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car. Book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. And don't forget to connect to the Ticket social media channels, 92.9 The Ticket on Facebook, 929 The Ticket on Instagram, Sportsnet Maine on TikTok, and our YouTube page, Sportsnet Maine. We'll be right back with Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston. All right, back here in the Greenway Equipment Studios, Jim Churchill and Mark Paulette. Thanks for joining us here on Maine Sports Leader. Let's hit the Heroes Hotline once again. Joining us on the line from NBC Sports Boston, it's Tom Giles. So, Tom, it's going to be Jason Tatum's team here very shortly. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's to be expected. I think that's really the direction we all saw it kind of going, especially when the Celtics seriously entered the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. So I'm curious what happens in the next few hours if the Celtics are able to swing anything ahead of the draft and then add any draft capital, with the draft being as highly regarded as it is. But at this point, they're kind of in an unfamiliar territory where they went after, the big fish and kind of came up a little short, and now it's time to go to plan B, and I'm sure that there is a plan B.
Have you seen a plan B out there on the interwebs that would make you want to trade Jaylen Brown away? Because I guess the thing was always with the Giannis deal, you knew you were getting the better player back in return. Anything I've seen mocked post Giannis going to Miami, the Celtics will be sending out the best player in any deal.
Yeah, I think that, and it's always how many of these are realistic, but I think the Houston deals probably interest me the most. Whether that's Alfred Şengün, who's, big man with a good amount of talent, and him and Jabari Smith, or, if you could somehow get Amen Thompson, one of those long wings who are good defenders for the Rockets to go along with Şengün. So something in that neighborhood would probably interest me the most from just what I've seen people throw out there. Nothing like reported.
Talking with Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston. So it's not a done deal yet, but we're fully expecting it. I think we're all in agreement on that Jaylen Brown will be playing somewhere else next season. Just kind of sum up Jaylen Brown's time in Boston from the outset to where we are now, coming off his best NBA season. Seems like he identifies things he needs to improve upon each season and does get better each year. Of course, won a title with Jason Tatum a few years ago. They have won. We got to look this up, Mark, because I keep saying it. But, they have won as many games in the regular season. I would take regular season and postseason.
They've won the most regular season games since entering the league together.
Okay. And then if you add in postseason games, they probably are number one there too. But just kind of sum it up, because, again, I'm a huge JB fan, and I'm not happy with the Celtics right now. But sum it up for us, Tom. You're closer to the scene than we are.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who's probably going to have his number raised to the rafters. Won a championship here, played here for a decade, improved every single year, as you mentioned. Also has had a profound impact on the community, which, I think he's gone further into that than a lot of players do in their towns. I think he's probably at the forefront, near the top of the league as far as that goes. So I think that's something that's going to be missed off the court a great deal, in this region. But just a guy who improved every single year, who wasn't afraid to take on the best player on the other team. And as a result, you saw him. They don't win that championship without him in 2024. So he's basically done everything they've asked of him. And you can certainly understand why this would be different from the other times that he's been involved in trade rumors. He's accomplished all that. He was the NBA Finals MVP. He hasn't been really involved in a trade rumor to this level probably in like 3 or 4 years. Now that he's done all that, and also the way he led them last year, you can certainly understand from his perspective why it would be, what, if this is what it is, maybe it's just time to go somewhere else.
When you look at the draft also happening tonight, now, of course, if the Celtics make a trade and they wind up with more draft capital out of it, this question could be completely irrelevant at that point. But looking at 27, is there anyone there that you think will still be available for them to pick that could make an instant impact next year?
Yeah, I think so. Henry Vasar is a big man who spent last year in North Carolina. I believe he was at Arizona before that. But there's a big man you can look at and hope that he could, put on a little bit of weight and, give you some minutes in the front court. I think that no matter who it is at that spot, it's going to come with easing them in a little bit. Hugo Gonzalez got kind of thrown into the fire, but I think a lot of that had to do with the depth and where they were at the beginning of the season. And then you kind of saw, once he got into the postseason, Joe Mazzulla really didn't trust him as much. Maybe waited a little too long to get him in there to make an impact into that Game 7. Baylor Shireman obviously improved a great deal this past year, but he was another guy that was taken at the end of the first round. And Peyton Pritchard, to go back to it, it took him a little while as well. But I guess the question becomes, where are they at? Like if they do not see themselves as immediate contenders this year based on whatever they're expecting to get back in a trade, do you go with a younger player who can develop, more of a 19-year-old, or do you go with, like a Dalen Swain out of Texas, who's, not that they necessarily need another wing, but a guy who's like a junior in college, a little more seasoned, a little more a la Baylor Shireman, Peyton Pritchard, and a guy who's played more basketball and maybe is a little more ready.
You mentioned a couple of depth pieces in the rotation right there, and Ugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman, and those two names have been brought up today. I've seen Celtic fans on social media reacting that, wait a second, the Celtics walked away from the Giannis table because Milwaukee wanted those two names included. I don't think it's just that. It's the additional draft assets that they also wanted. Celtics wanted to offer Brown 2 first-round picks. That's about it. Do you feel that Boston was right, that Brad Stevens was right to get up and walk away from the table when he heard what Milwaukee wanted back?
Kind of, yeah. I can understand it. It comes with a lot of risk because now they're in an unenviable position where if they feel like they have to trade Jaylen Brown, that is going to impact his market this time around as well. If it's known that he wants to leave and they want to move him, we haven't necessarily heard that yet. But I did ask, Jeff Goodman was on with us last night, and I don't know if I so eloquently put it like this, but at what point do you just walk away from the table? At what point do you say, okay, enough's enough? Because I don't know what you guys thought this trade should look like, but, especially if you like Jaylen Brown, you're probably sitting there thinking, wait a second, how much better is Giannis really than Jaylen Brown that you should have to put in? You should have to boost the package to the point of draft picks and role players and I don't know if Baylor Shireman, but Ugo Gonzalez, who I think they're very high on, the league's very high on. Yeah, how much do you really have to give up when you're trading a second-team All-NBA guy for a guy who's been a first-team All-NBA guy?
Talking with Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston. By the way, per DraftKings and courtesy of NBC Sports Boston that we have on here in the studio, the Celtics with Jaylen Brown currently on their roster, best odds to win the Eastern Conference next year.
Yeah.
We'll see how that changes.
I'm always fascinated by that. I don't know if I quite buy into that. You would have thought that the Knicks kind of would be up there.
They're second.
Yeah, I mean, just you're assuming they're going to bring back most of their team, and the way they played this year, as long as they can keep it together, they should certainly be contending again. Maybe everything just worked out perfectly, and it was a perfect storm for them. But I think the Celtics have some work to do, and you're projecting that some of their role players are going to elevate their game a great deal. So, I mean, they're going to be in the mix. They're always going to be in the mix with Jason Tatum on the roster. I do find that intriguing that they've got the best odds in the Eastern Conference.
So do you feel that they're like, I know this may be separate from the ship sailing on Jaylen Brown, and we've crossed the point of no return there with him being dangled at one more time, but if they somehow do stay together, they being the Jays, can the Celtics turn Derek White into Jamal Murray or dangle him out in front of the Timberwolves and try to get Rudy Gobert out of them? Is there any other way to save this on the fly and make it so the Jays are together? Because over the course of this conversation, like, reality is kind of hitting me that 9 years is coming apart in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to Brad Stevens, it's usually kind of like outside the box. I'd say that Drew Holiday was the one move where it just made perfect sense, and that one felt not telegraphed, but kind of, okay, that's the move they have to make, and they're going to make it. Like, Kristaps Porzingis kind of came out of nowhere. The Derek White move originally came out of nowhere. Malcolm Brogdon out of nowhere. So I don't know it's going to be any of the guys we've talked about or heard of. Trey Murphy obviously has had a lot of traction, that name, in New Orleans. But it seems like that would be more of a Jaylen Brown type of move. I just think they need to find, and I think Brad Stevens is good at it, finding guys who are undervalued across the league that can kind of round out the roster and help you a little bit. So they'll figure something out. I can't imagine that they went this far down the road going after Giannis without having a backup plan, without making calls about almost every other guy in the league. So what it comes down to for me is, does it happen today? Does it happen, closer to free agency, like a week from now, or when is this all going down, or do they just say no? Do they come out and say we're keeping Jaylen Brown, and then they just make the moves around the edges?
Tom, you're obviously a longtime Boston, New England sports fan. Where does this Red Sox team rank in the teams you've seen over the years?
They're unbelievably terrible. I mean, we've had the conversation. I don't know for you guys, but the conversation kept coming up. Like, have they bottomed out? I'm like, no. They can get worse. They're gonna get worse, folks. Strap in. Like, Garrett Crochet's probably not gonna pitch this year. Why would you bring him back? Like, Roman Anthony, I'd love to see come back if you want to find out what he is, because we still don't know. He's a developing player. This has got to be up there as one of the worst. Like, it's still June, and they're losing games in dramatic fashion to the Rockies, who are basically like the poster child of how to not run a baseball franchise. It's unbelievable. So I guess my answer is I kind of stopped watching and stopped, checking in on them. And then last night we had finished the show.
You checked in.
That they lost on an unbelievable walk-off. And then seeing how the eighth inning, going back and checking it out, I was like, wow, this is absolutely bonkers. They're really bad. And I don't see how it gets better immediately. Like, I just don't. And the worst part is they're going to have this horrible season. And then you could be looking at like a labor strike next year.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the last time you could really feel good about a Red Sox team and a Red Sox game and a Red Sox win was Garrett Crochet last October. And I don't know. I think that just kind of it rejuvenated everybody. I was rejuvenated watching that. I forgot how much I enjoyed watching playoff baseball. And then to think that this is where they are.
Yeah. So here's the problem, Tom. Here's a bigger problem. They're bad and they're boring. Like, they are boring. They have no characters on this team. At least in 2012, Bobby V. We had Bobby V, and we had some other things going on there with other, players who had some character to them. This is just a bland, just terrible baseball team.
Well, Wilson Contreras really chucked his helmet last night. He's kind of been in the mix on a few things. Maybe he can, maybe he ignites something along the way with another team. Maybe that's what we're looking at. Peyton Tolley is really like the one guy who that's a personality. There's a guy right there. But you just wonder, and you hope that like the experience of this season doesn't weigh on someone like that. He's just
that's right.
Young. He enjoys it. He's having fun, but they're in June. They've got 3 more months of this. So I just hope it doesn't wear on him, and they can get something out of it. They can move some guys. Of course, the worry now is like Aroldis Chapman is starting to struggle, and now you have to worry about the hamstring. What can you actually get in return? Because he looked like he had a ton of value. It's about as bad as it gets, but that's where we're at. And it happened quick. I feel like it really happened quick.
Meanwhile, tonight's starter, Sonny Gray, the shining star, along with maybe Contreras, for this team. Sonny at 8-1.
I mean, a lot of the pitching staff, if they could just cobble together like 3 runs a night, they'd be winning 67%
They'd be in extra innings last night, Mark.
But do you think Sonny Gray is on the team in a month and a half?
He's actively trying not to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Sonny Gray, Aroldis Chapman, eventually, like the Jaron Duran experiment.
Just
or
get
whatever.
it done.
Like, yes.
Just
so
move on.
Guys right there.
Move
Maybe
on.
Garrett Whitlock. It's just it's
all of them. Get them out of here.
Here's the problem: you can't trade guys that nobody wants. So you
that's
have
true.
to look at a handful of them.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 there we can get something for. And then the other question is, we've been talking about, do you really want Craig Breslow making these calls?
Not really.
Okay, it just gets worse.
Nope.
We keep asking questions and it gets worse.
That's it. That's what I mean. Like, I don't see how this really turns around and gets fixed anytime soon.
All right, Tom, on that very positive note, we will let you go. What's happening your night tonight?
Oh, we got the NBA draft show, so
there you go.
We'll be locked in for, I think we got like 3.5 hours. So starting at 8:00, we'll be ripping it, and I don't know. We'll see if any drama unfolds, but we got a bunch of people, Scal, Chris Mannix, Forsberg, Tim Welsh, Drew Carter, Michael Hawley, Isaac Trotter. We got a lot of people on the show tonight that are going to be weighing in. So we'll be reacting to the honest stuff and looking at what happens next with Jaylen Brown and what the Celtics do tonight.
Tim Welsh. I like Tim Welsh. You guys bring him out for the big nights.
Absolutely. Yeah. He knows his stuff, and he sees these guys up close and personal.
That's right. All right. Hey, Tom, have a good night. Enjoy the draft, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston joining us here on The Drive. Mark, before we go to break and get to all the other things we have to do, I just want to finish with our our Ticket Awards, 2026 Ticket Awards from last night. I made a mistake in the first reading of basically the first 50-60% of the winners. High school indoor track athlete of the year, I said Jake Bassey from Bangor. Jake was the boys outdoor track athlete of the year. So congratulations to Jake Bassey from the Bangor Rams, boys outdoor track athlete of the year. We actually had, I believe, our first double winner in the Ticket Awards here as we complete our third year. And it was Seneca Haney from MDI. So she was the high school indoor track athlete of the year from the MDI Trojans, and she was also the girls outdoor track athlete of the year as well. So congratulations to Seneca, who was actually competing out in Oregon. I was going
to say, she's such a prolific runner that she wasn't there last night. She's on the other coast.
Other winners, high school lacrosse player of the year, Gabe Thornwall from Hamden Academy. High school softball player of the year, Natalie Fournier from the Old Town Coyotes. High school
second straight year, right? For her.
Yes. High school baseball player of the year, Colin Sullivan from MDI. High school tennis team of the year, the Herman Hawk Boys, the Class B North champions. I mentioned Seneca Haney, outdoor track athlete of the year. Jake Bassey, boys outdoor track athlete of the year. High school coach of the year. Now, this was the longest list of the night.
20 names.
And it ended up being Pat House, girls basketball coach at Matanock Academy, and Why Not, their first ever regional title, first ever state title, undefeated.
Only undefeated team this year, right?
Yep,
to get
22-0. So Pat House, congratulations to him for leading the Lynx to that rarefied air there. And softball team of the year, and they came out. The Bucksport Golden Bucks.
Had about, 45 people in attendance, it seemed like.
Baseball team of the year, the Bangor Rams baseball team came up short 3-2 to Gorham in the Class A state championship game, extra inning game. But obviously, as we talked about earlier, great career for Dave Morris, their head coach, and a great effort this year by the Bangor Rams as they picked up another regional title. And they were also our High School Champions Award winner as well, not only for what they did this year in winning the regional title, but it's kind of a recent lifetime achievement award.
A yearly tradition there, regional titles.
Yeah, so they were the Champions Award winner. And then our Ticket TV Play of the Year, we had a Thomas Curtis a kick return for a touchdown for John Babs, a Colby Eaton buzzer beater for Ellsworth against MDI, a Jillian Ford great diving catch for Brewers softball, Kyle Johnson 80-yard touchdown run for the Bangor Rams, an Ollie Higgins dunk fest, and Madison Stewart's record-setting goal for Herman Hawk girls soccer, but it came down to Drew McKinney's grand slam home run against Messalonsky in the quarterfinals of the most recent Class A North playoffs. So congratulations to all the winners. A great night at Heroes, and we're looking forward already to the 2027 Ticket Awards. All right, we will step aside here. When we come back, we've got Sports Center weather forecast, put the dry poll out there. We got that sip of the roast as well coming your way here on The Drive. Oh, pretty cool, the drop kick there from Doug Flutie, and I kind of remember the reaction from Bill.
Yeah, he actually smiled on the sideline. Yeah. He looked a little proud, happy that the plan came together. Threw Flutie out there in the weird formation, then he was jumping up and down, almost being like carried off the field, high-fiving Brady on the sidelines. I've got a vivid memory of that as like a 10-year-old because that was the last day of the 2005 season, so it was like early January 2006, but I remember that just hanging in at the end of a game that was meaningless. They already had the postseason spot locked up, and thinking, what the heck is going on? I didn't even know what a drop kick was at that time because, again, I've been a football fan for all of 2 or 3 years.
So they got Doug Flutie.
On the morning roast?
Yeah. I mean, you get Flutie, should be able to get Frank Thomas, right? I mean, those two guys are intertwined on all those Nugenix commercials.
One thing I'll say about Doug Flutie, I saw him recently. I don't know where it popped up, somewhere on my social media feed, but just a video of him. He's looking a little Popeye these days. Like,
really?
Because he's not the biggest guy, obviously. That's why.
Right.
That's why it was neat to see him out there playing quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, forearms and hands for his body, a little disproportionate.
So Doug Flutie's career didn't start with that Hail Mary pass.
Yeah, at BC.
At BC, but that kind of started his name recognition.
Yeah, that put him on the scene nationally.
Yeah. And then the drop kick.
Plenty of highlight plays from a career that went all over the place. Canada,
I wonder if
across the NFL.
If that inspired the Murphys to become the drop kick Murphys.
Oh, no, they were already the Dropkick Murphys by that point.
Really?
They've been around for a long time. They were cutting songs for the 2004 Red Sox, remember? That's where Tessie came from. That's where some of the original championship themes came from.
The Drive is brought to you by Fat Panda Boba Tea and Market on Harlow Street in Bangor next to Gosling's Bakery. Sip fresh boba, explore snacks, ramen, and their tasty Jamaican patties. Also visit their brewer location on Wilson Street next to Hannaford. We're also brought to you by Dairy Queen in Old Town. The DQ $7 chicken strip meal deal has it all. 100% white meat, seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and a DQ sundae, all for just $7. And now you can get it with a new honey sriracha dip. Visit 613 Stillwater Avenue in Bangor. And we are brought to you by Acadia Federal Credit Union, their newest location on Wilson Street in Brewer, serving Maine since 1963 with branches in Brewer, 3 in Bangor, and, of course, a number in Aroostook County. Learn more at acadiafcu.org. All right, we have got to do the drive poll, right, Mark?
Yeah, we got 2 of them. First up here with Giannis, the Heat are 54% say the 5th or the 6th seed at best in the Eastern Conference. 27% say they're still a play-in team. 10% say top 3. 9% say top 4. I would agree with the majority there. I would hope for their case, their sake, that acquiring Giannis gets you out of the Miami Heat Memorial Play-in Tournament, which is where they reside year in and year out.
Yeah,
but I still don't think they're better than the Celtics, than the Knicks, then the Cavs. Well, yeah, I mean, depending on how badly Boston could dismantle this thing. I got full faith, though, in Brad Stevens of making the best possible deal whenever he has to make a deal. It's just feeling like, do you have to make a deal when you got a pretty good base that you're working with?
He's put himself in a position where he has to make a deal.
Second drive poll, what is more entertaining as a neutral fan? When a league has a few elite dynasty-level teams competing for a title each year, or a league full of parity with a different champion each season? Kind of like what we have with the NBA right now, and that's what 80% are saying they prefer. When it's parity league-wide, you get a different champion each year.
8 straight years, right?
Yep, 8 straight. If I'm being honest, I prefer a league with a couple dynasty elite-level teams at the top of it that everybody else is kind of chasing and trying to get into that field.
Yeah, me too, as long as it's the Patriots, Celtics.
Because, of course, that's kind of what I grew up with, but that was the thinking. Like, you take the NBA now versus the AFC of the Brady Belichick years, when it was them 70% of the time, and when it wasn't, it was Peyton the other 20% and Roethlisberger 10%. Like, it was 3 people that you knew were going to be there.
So a contrast would be like the NBA, different straight champions. I think Major League Baseball had a run where they kind of had different champions for a pretty good stretch of years, but obviously recently it's been the Dodgers winning 2 straight.
Yep.
They also, quote, unquote, won one in 2020. So they've been just reeling them off.
Short season.
Yeah. And they've been in spending all that money. They've been right at the top of the heap for the last 5-6 years, 7 years probably. But so that's your contrast. Do you like having a team like the Dodgers?
Oh, yeah.
Spending all that money?
Yeah, I'm someone who will say the Dodgers are good for baseball all day long. I will die on that hill. They are so much better for the sport than, hell, the Red Sox and the way that they're running their organization right now, or, say, the Rockies, who are just in it for the revenue sharing, or some of those other teams at the bottom. Pittsburgh, before they actually kind of invested this year and put a 500 team on the field. The Dodgers are so much better for maybe not the longevity of the sport, but certainly the entertainment value in the immediate circumstances.
The Drive brought to you by Novus Auto Glass. Call Novus Auto Glass today at 945-6688 to get your windshield repaired or replaced. We're also brought to you by Northeast Driving School. They've been the leader in driver training for over 57 years. Register today for driver's ed courses at Greater Bangor's #1 driving school. Call 942-1769 or register for courses at northeastdrivingschool.com. And we're brought to you by Dairy Queen in Bangor with the new DQ Breakfast Collection. You can enjoy a Cinnamon Toast Crunch dipped cone, some Fruity Pebbles shakes, or Choco Frosted Donut Blizzard treats. Whether it's breakfast time or not, visit 668 Broadway in Bangor. DQ, happy, tastes good. All right, we'll be back to do some Sox propping after this. All right, welcome back into the Greenway Equipment Studios. Jim Churchill and Mark Paulette as we are heading down the home stretch on this Tuesday edition of The Drive. And Mark, what do we have on the table as possibilities here with these Boston Red Sox / Colorado Rockies?
Yeah, I don't want to go the way of the Rockies tonight because Sonny Gray is on the bump for the Sox, 8-1 with a nifty 3.12 ERA for the season. The roast is going with his strikeout number, 5+ strikeouts tonight. That line is right around -166 at this point in the day. I'm looking at his inning total tonight. We can take over 17.5, which would be 6 innings of work against a Rockies team that Jake Bennett last night went 6 or 7 innings, striking out 8, and that's a guy who is not a power pitcher. He was shutting them down.
That would seem to be a safe one.
Yeah, Sonny Gray for 6 innings tonight.
All right, there you go, our Sox prop. And we're going to take a time out here. We'll be back with buzzer beaters to wrap it up. All right, Buzzer Beaters is here, and we are going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the show. Thanks for being with us here on The Drive. I want to thank our guest today, Tom Giles from NBC Sports Boston, as I think everybody's on board that it's basically a foregone conclusion that now that the C's were unable to pull off the JB for Giannis trade, that JB, at this point, likely out the door, and we'll see what that means for the Celtics moving forward.
Yeah, it should be an interesting night with the draft tonight. Any more blockbusters to be had with it being such a highly regarded draft class, at least the top 10 in the lottery. Your chances of teams wanting to get into that might be a little more so than in other years. Robert Kraft, this came out today from the Boston Globe, that Robert Kraft has informed Roger Goodell the Patriots would like to play a game in Scotland. I think he is trying to capitalize off the commercial success of the Tartan Army coming over here.
Yep.
The Tartan Army and the Boston Globe both took out page-long ads thanking one another, like from the city of Boston, the Tartan Army thanking the city of Boston. I think Bobby is trying to get us over there.
What does Scotland have for stadiums, though?
Oh, Edinburgh. They got soccer stadiums. They got
some big ones.
Rugby stadiums. Yeah, they can make it happen.
All right, we will talk to you on Thursday. No Drive tomorrow. Red Sox series finale against the Rockies.